It's your Common Sense editorial team. I'm Tanner. That's Chrissy. Every Tuesday, we bring you a discussion of something we've reviewed over on commonsense.org/education, where we have thousands of reviews of educational technology for your classroom. Chrissy, you're going to debut something to me today. And what is that tool?
I am, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I know I've mentioned, I don't know, give or take 1,020 times that I was an English teacher. However, I get very excited when I see math tools that I would have been pumped about as a student because I wasn't super pumped about math, spoiler, when I was in school. So the tool that I want to show today is called Skew the Script. And here is our review. And let me also just put the URL up there so you can see. So you can see we gave it 4 stars. And what I mean, initially, just by the title, you can see the idea is to sort of change the very, very traditional approach to math. Not saying that all math teachers take that approach. However, this tool, I think, aids in maybe shaking up the approach that is, tried and true that many of us are familiar with. And so what I love about this is applying math skills to real life data that helps make it very relevant to students through topics that students care about, that we all care about. And so let me go ahead and show you this site.
Yeah, I'm excited
So
about this too. There's a lot of jobs in this area too. This strikes me as a tool that not only is making math relevant, but also making it like applicable to potential careers or career discovery, right? And data analysis and that kind of stuff.
yes, that's a very good point. One of the limitations you'll see right away is that we're really only dealing with AP Stats and Algebra. So it's limited in scope. However, um, let's say we dive into Algebra 1 and 2, and we'll just sort of scroll through the different skill sets that are covered in different units. So, which one there piques your interest,
Come
Tanner?
on. I mean, we got Ronald McDonald leading on a graph with what is that, a McRib?
I'm gonna
Um
say it looks like a McRib. Yeah. Yep. Should we go
like
there?
how can
Okay.
I not?
I know, I know. Plus the McRib. Yeah, see, why is the McRib always back? It's a really relevant question, one that I know I've had. Just like what's the shake? The
The Shamrock Shake, which I believe
Yes,
in stores
yes, I
now.
mean, timely. McRib doesn't have that window of time. It just suddenly is back. Why? So here, if you want to take this sort of, fun data approach, keep it light. Um, you can see the topics and the concepts that are covered. And you can see that also the unit is broken down into pieces. Um, so if we go into 4.1, you'll see that the components are a video that is hosted that help frame the lesson, introduce some of the terminology and data, and the sort of general approach to that data. And then you have the student items handout, video reflection questions, and then the teacher items as well. Um, what I'll tell you about the videos is that they move pretty fast. Um, they're not set up to be very flashy and, uh, you know, lots of cuts and edits and things like that. It's basically a host who's talking and showing you things. Um, but the engagement of the host I find very compelling. And the awareness of, clearly the people who created the site are educators. And so the way that he is presenting the information um, is engaging and works for the context, I think. Um, so the idea basically is that you watch this video and then you work with the data and cover the topics that are listed here. And let me just go back for a second because there are topics that are, pretty lighthearted, like why is the McRib always back? Um, but then we have some more meaty topics. There's some around climate change. There's some around politics. I saw one about violence and policing. So you can also touch on relevant social topics if that is something that you want to do. And you can also see how some of these lessons could be cross curricular. And there are lots of different branches you could take with this data and the analysis of the data that could lead into a lot of interesting research and connections and um, bigger units that might span subject areas, which is really cool. I will say that the entry level for the lessons is pretty high. So I would highly suggest before, jumping into this site with your students, of course, to preview and also to think about what prep your particular students might need, what differentiation your students might need, because the level is pretty high in all cases, and there aren't any differentiation materials available on the site itself. That said, I found it very compelling. I had to take a statistics course at one point in my educational career, and I'm not going to say I hated it, but I didn't enjoy it. And these lessons, as I was perusing, I found them to be very understandable, but challenging enough that it really got me thinking and also critically thinking, which I think is another really cool piece of analyzing real data. There's an element in some of these lessons where he will call out BS, which is bad statistics. So there's an element, I think, especially for high school students, that engages that critical thinking and media literacy component, which is another angle that I think you can take. How easily numbers can get thrown around, publicized, um, and used to prove points. However, if you really dive into the numbers, you can see where those flaws might be. So one of the lessons, and I'm not sure I'll be able to find it right now. However, it was about climate change and about the Michael Crichton book that is often cited to refute the validity of human caused climate change. And so he really dives into all the data around that issue in a balanced way and also really focusing on the numbers themselves. Um, so, again, I think there are a lot of directions you could take it. I think um, quite a bit of prep work could be necessary depending on the level of your students and how much they might already understand about these topics. And then also context depending on the issue that you want to address, because some are the McRib and some are violence and policing. So it's great to kind of poke around and see what you might want to use. But as a student, I definitely would have been pretty hyped about looking at Skew the Script and using that data.
And I don't know that you mentioned that it's free too.
It's free.
Yeah.
I didn't mention it, and I should have. It's
Yeah.
100% free.
The immediate thing I was thinking of was this is like a gold mine for news literacy, because I could see you using this site to provide context to some critical kind of current events discussions, or I could see you using it to check out some statistics being used in the news and dig deeper into them and kind of validate them or not. And I can also see you using some publicly available data sets. One of the most amazing things about like statistics classes is you can go to all of these government websites and just pull huge data sets and play around with them and try to derive insights from them. There's an endless amount of lesson opportunities there. And I'm thinking particularly of another free site called Data USA that would pair really well with this. We have a review of that on commonsense.org/education. You can go check out that website and maybe apply the lessons you learn from here to data sets at Data USA. I think that would be pretty cool.
Plus all the news and media literacy resources.
Yes.
That we just happen to have there.
commonsense.org/education, people.
We have it all.
Well, I guess that's it. See you next week. Subscribe, like, do whatever, or just go.
The McRib is back.